Hey everybody, welcome to my golf tips live segment today. Sorry for the delay. I had a little problem getting the video going. I'm ready to take your questions, and please, if when you're watching, if you like what I'm doing here, click the like button below, thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel here. I'm going to have a lot more shows, probably 2 or 3 every week now, depending on demand. So I'm happy to answer any golf-related questions regarding any golf problems or questions you might have. And as most of you know, I'm a specialist in the single plane golf swing methods, which I've been teaching for over 24 years, and a lot of experience on the Moe Norman swing, which I learned and taught for quite a while, which has kind of morphed into my own single plane swing version that I find works far better than copying another person, be it Bryson DeChambeau or Moe Norman, that you're better off customizing and making the concept your own for faster success instead of spinning your wheels and working on something for a couple of years and not improving. So my goal is fast improvement. So I'm going to take a look at the questions here on my iPad. And hey, Steve, good to see you again. Yeah, the early uncocking of the wrist. So his question is about the wrist. So cocked wrists are this. This is cocked wrist, and uncocked is this. In a golf swing, we always want the wrist to be uncocking as we approach the impact zone. And it's my experience that over 95% of golfers, that's happening. The uncocking is happening early in the downswing. And one of the main reasons for that is that people have grown accustomed to using their hands actively to hit the golf ball. And another reason is that they're trying to get the ball up in the air. There's something about golf that the brain doesn't equate that this club has loft on it. And because it has loft, there's no reason to have to do that to get the ball up in the air. The loft is there, so the ball will go up in the air. If the club is coming in and makes contact on the club face, the ball's going to go up if there's loft. And so people in the beginning, what happens is they top the ball. And from my experience, the reason they're topping the ball, and it goes back to the beginning of learning to set up in the conventional manner with the hands below the shoulders. And the problem is that impact, the club comes through in an uncocked position. So what will happen to people as they begin is they throw the club head into the ground. So the first swings that they ever make because of this lengthening from setup to impact. So you can see it here. Setup, we set up with an angle and the wrist partially cocked. At impact, the wrists are always uncocked. And so what happens is the club head moves away. And so people throw it into the ground. And what happens, because that hurts and it makes a big hole in the ground, the next swings people make are always trying to pull away and make space. But the problem is the ball doesn't fly because people are hitting on top of the ball. So they're hitting on top of the ball, and then they start trying to figure out how to make it go up in the air. At some point they get lucky and they hit it on the face doing that, and they have some success. And so it just develops into a way to get the ball where you want it to go. It's extremely complicated and not very effective. But most people have that in their game because of beginning when they started the game. And it's very difficult to get away from that. And so really what I've done is reverse engineered the golf swing is in my setup for impact method. And that means we know at impact, we know that we're going to be in this extended position where the club is on the same plane as the trailing forearm, at least to the elbow. So it looks something like this. So why would you ever start here? So we need to get here at setup, and that greatly simplifies impact because we don't have to compensate for the change in length. I like to say that people, what's really happening if you set up conventionally is, imagine if you're swinging a golf club and your club at impact is going to be 3 inches longer than at setup. And we could actually devise a club or make a club that does that. And if you practiced enough, you could figure out how to hit the ball. It's not ideal by any means, but if you just set up on the impact plane, it's going to make it a lot easier. And because of that, then you can focus on how to deliver the club without the risk uncocking too early. And so the drills on my website, and I have them on my YouTube channel here as well, my drills show you how to practice getting in that position. And part of it is learning to get the body, the legs, feet, legs, hips, body in the right position before the club gets there. So if I'm at setup and I turn my body to where it needs to be at impact, you see it pushes the hands ahead. So it'd be much easier for me because my body's in position at impact. It's much easier for me to deliver the club with more lag and to maintain the wrist cock longer through impact. And so the drills are all devised starting from drill 1, which goes from here, and then we shift and get the hips in the right position, and we turn the body to impact. So you're learning right away to develop that. Drill 2 is going from here, and as we're getting up into this position, all we have to do is start turning in the other direction, and we're practicing delivering the club to this position, still in an uncocked position, and then we let the club release to impact. So it's that we're practicing delivering the club there as opposed to the habit being that. There's also some drills where we're practicing also delivering the club with the grip leading, because the early hands and early release involves the right arm and right hand flipping or trailing hand flipping. We have to sometimes unlearn that and learn to make impact like that to get the active hands out of the shot. That's really the basis. Once we get the setup correct, in the setup for impact golf swing, is to deliver the club through impact perfectly. The best players in the world are all moving the club through impact like that. So with the body leading, with the club in this position, and a late release. It's obviously released on time, and the way to do that is to get the body in position and then practice. My ball striking drills will also lead you in that direction, but really get the setup right, and then we work on impact, which involves learning to release at the right time. It involves getting the transition correct, and that's why the drills are designed to get you there. My practice sessions in the members section will also allow you to practice along with me. You see how I'm practicing. So I'll stand there and we'll make some swings first without. There's ways to check to see that you released it properly. And it takes you step by step through how to do it. But that's a great question. It gets to the really most important part of the swing, is delivering the club properly and working on impact. So it's set up for impact is the name of my method. And the setup's really important. Obviously, without that, it's much more difficult to learn impact. So once we get the setup correct, then we work on impact. Hey, Rusty, 40B. I'm having trouble finding the bottom of my swing arc. So that gets to the same really topic of the release. If you're releasing the club too early, the club ends up hitting too early in the ground. So the bottom of the swing arc is too early. So it's learning to doing my drills will teach you how to do that. But what you can also do in kind of a quick fix type thing that I'll use with people, especially if they're playing a lot of golf, and it's important that they hit the ball better the next day, is I'll have them make some swings here and making sure that their club, they practice. You're actually practicing that the bottom of the swing arc comes after the ball. So I would make all the swings, making sure that my club is only touching the ground past the ball. There would be no mark here on this side of the ball. It'd be only there. So if you practice with really short swings going that way, you'll be able to find it. If you find yourself hitting back here, then what I would have you do, trying to use your body to move the grip past the ball before you let it touch the ground, or try to hit the ground way up here just to get a feel for how you can most easily change this. My goal is always to find the fastest way to improve the impact area in the swing, whether it's the setup or doing some simple drills that get you into the right position. But that's goes hand in hand with the segment before about uncocking the wrist. So it's really about when do we uncock the wrist. Early release hits the ground too early in most cases, unless as you're doing that, you're pulling away. And so that gets to the timing. On the website, the divot drill is a very helpful drill that will also, it deals with finding the bottom of the arc. Hey, Golf Piraten. Good afternoon. Hey, Marvin. Well, okay. Yeah, Stockton. Sorry, I read that as Stockholm. I was like, I saw Sweden before. I was wondering how I was going to get there. I'd love to get to Sweden, but yeah, Stockton, California. Yeah, I'm planning for middle of June. We're still waiting to see what the situation is going to be there. I understand in California things are looking pretty good, and I think in that area as well. So if anybody's interested in the Stockton, California school in say mid-June, just send me an email at learninggolf.tv@gmail.com. You'll find it on my website. There's contact forms in the schools. Just tell me you're interested and I'll contact you when there's more information. I have several people interested. Of course, we're waiting to see. Also, I have to see if I can fly out there, but I think by that time, hopefully things should be up and running and it should be possible to do a school just have to see what would be required for the school. So if we have to all stay 6 feet apart, that's not such a big deal. But I'm sure that we can hopefully get it done. If it doesn't work out, then it'll be either in July or possibly September. So. Hey, Golf Pirate, I use the same concept for everything. And really, if you look at setup for impact, when we're hitting short shots, like even a putt, we're already set up for impact. We're set up in the position. If you're playing a chip shot, so chipping, I'm setting up like this already. And so it's really just that motion. So I'm already set up for impact. 80 yards is going to be a wedge shot. And again, the same setup. I want to be set up in a position where all I need to do is turn back, turn through, and get the timing of the release and the feel of the release for that specific club, and so that I can hit the ball perfectly. So it's all getting set up for the shot. So say I'm on a side hill lie or something, and the ball, let's say it's a big slope here, and I have to hit a shot there, or it's in a bush. I'm going to set up there so that I can hit the shot. If it's on a side hill lie, getting set up in a position that makes it easier to hit the shot. And that's what it's all about. I want things to be simple and as easy as possible. I don't believe in telling you to work on your drills and everything for a year and maybe you'll improve. I want you to improve as quickly as possible. And that's what my program allows you to do. Again, if you guys click the like button below, that helps, and subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot. And I am going to be having a drawing on April 30th for a free lifetime membership on my website. I'm going to tell you how to do that about 40 minutes in. So in about 25 minutes, I'm going to tell you what you need to do to sign up for that. And we'll cover that on the site. As a member, it allows you to send in videos for my review. Plus, you have access to all of my teaching videos and online, as well as a new Facebook page, which is going to be for members only, where you could communicate with other members around the country. If you're already a member, you can go there to Facebook, Set Up for Impact Golf Members. Just search Set Up for Impact and you'll find it. And then I'll just check to see that you're a member, and then you're in. So let me see where we are. Hartlepool. Where's Hartlepool? England, I guess. I have one length irons and not getting enough height with my short irons. Hey, Peppy. Yeah, so I think it doesn't matter so much that it's same length irons. If they're going too low, you need to identify if you're hitting the ball on the ground at the same time. So you're catching the ball in the middle of the club face. If you're hitting it low on the face, that would be obviously a reason that it's not flying high enough. What you could do is move the ball, make sure the ball is not too far back. So if it's too far back in your stance, that would be a reason it would go too low if you're de-lofted this way. If you tend to hook the ball and have a curve to the left if you're right-handed, that would tell us that the club face is closed. And when the club face is closed on those irons, you're actually de-lofting it. So I see that once in a while, and they'd be flying low with a little bit of a curve to the left. If that's the case, you're going to have to look at your grip and work it a little bit more towards neutral. And I always am checking it this way to make sure that if you're a neutral gripper, you do that. Some people have a stronger grip position in the lead hand and hit it straight. In that case, I don't advise you to change it. Just stick with it. If the ball starts hooking or going left, then that's the time. You could check your ball position again. So if the ball's a little bit more forward, you'll hit it a little bit higher. But always make sure you're hitting it in the center of the face. The last issue could be the shafts. If the shaft is too stiff for you, even slightly, or in the characteristics, if it's a higher kick or lower kick shaft, it's really not that much of a difference. It's here or here. But if the club's not flexing at impact, the shaft can actually help the ball, or should help the ball, get up in the air. If it's too stiff, it won't. So those are the things I would be looking at there, Peppy. Hey, Tom, good to see you again. Hope you're getting out. Hey, Steve. Yeah, Annika was one of my favorite players. I actually met her years ago over in England for the Women's British Open. Yeah, I mean, Annika and David Duval were very similar in that as they were hitting, they were really almost already looking towards the target. And so as long as the head is staying in position, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's not something I would tell you to do, but I think it's good. And if I do see some people when they're doing my drills, and in step 3 of my learning program, which you can find here on YouTube, and of course is on my website in great detail. But as I have people turn the hips, using the feet and legs, turn the hips towards the target, a lot of them do something like that. So there's a mobility issue going on there, and it can be in the hips, it can be in the spine, as well as shoulders, that they're kind of having a problem there. So I doubt that if you keep the head in position, that's going to necessarily help you turn better. But it certainly, as long as the head's staying in position, it's been proven. World number 1, Annika, was probably the best women's player ever. She did it. And David Duval was also world number 1. So, and he did it. So let's see, Steve. A slightly weaker grip in the setup for impact, as I tend to pull. Well, I would identify, Stephen, a lot of people think they're pulling the ball, but it's really, if you're certain that you have a neutral grip, and I check it like this, I'm checking the back of the hand to the club face and making sure that when the club face leading edge is level, that the back of the hand is flat. And if you're certain that you're set up there and you're still the ball flies to the left, it's very likely a little bit of an early release. So if you're coming in and you're going that way, that's the face is a little bit closed, and the ball won't necessarily hook, but it's going to go to the left. And so I would not go weaker than neutral. I would look at that. You could also look and make sure that the trailing arm's not too far underneath. That could also be something that closes the face. I don't see that often. So in your case, I would be looking at doing some drills and trying to make sure that we're delaying the release, like with the ball strike drills 1 and 2 especially, but ball strike drill 1 is the place to start. We take a lot of time there in my schools working on the short swings first to perfect impact. So I'll perfect impact working from here to here, doing a lot of practice, something like that. And once you can do that without a golf ball, we'll do it with a ball. And if you can do it with a ball, then we'll lengthen the swing. If you have a problem with the longer swings, then we'll go back down and hit enough shots to try to ingrain that perfect impact. If we have to go even shorter, we can do it here. So it's like a chip. We need to be able to move perfectly there first before moving on. Hey, Jim, do I recommend the trail heel to stay on the ground through impact? Advantages, disadvantages? Well, Moe Norman kept the heel on the ground when I saw him, so he hit it pretty good flat. That said, he was very far from the ball. And so because of his distance from the ball, in order for him to hit it, he had to move down 6 or 8 inches in to be able to make good impact. So without that drop down move, I think he would have topped the ball. So it was obviously a compensating move for that. And when you're trying to keep the heel on the ground, I think you're making it really difficult for most people, especially to get the body into a good impact position. So when I was trying to swing like Moe, which I did for many years, I would hit the ball and do that, but my distance suffered quite a bit, and I didn't see a corresponding increase or better accuracy by keeping the heel down. So as I've worked, and I'm not necessarily trying to pull the heel up, but all I'm trying to do is to get myself turned, to get my hips turned towards the target as much as I comfortably can. I'm not trying to overdo anything. So I test it like this. When I'm set up, I'm going to just push with my feet and turn the hips like that. And so I feel some stretching in my back, nothing too extreme, but you can't see it from there. But you see, when I do that, you're going to see that the trailing heel comes up. It's nothing that, when I do that, it's nothing that raises me up. So it's not raising even my hips. My hips are turning. And it's just that facilitates it. If I keep the heel on the ground, it makes it more difficult to get the proper sequencing starting at the ground for the kinetic chain of starting from the ground up to get everything going so you can get maximum power. If I was going to throw a ball, I would never keep the heel on the ground either. And I think it's just a restriction that's unnecessary. I don't see a reason to do it unless you're, if you're somebody that's crazy wild with the leg, it may be a good idea to do it for a while. But again, understanding that it's something to calm down a problem area. It's not something where I see a lot of people trying to swing like Moe, and it looks like this. They're finished with the swing. And then they're trying to somehow finish, or they're here. And then even instructors, I know they're trying to look like Moe and do that, but I just think it's a distance loser and accuracy because it makes it more difficult to turn. And mostly what I see in golfers today, and those also copying Moe or playing single playing, is they're not turned at all. So they're trying so hard and they're so wide with the feet. They're trying so hard to keep that foot down and to keep the leading knee bent that it restricts their turning. Moe was still able to get the hips turned even with that. And you see in the earlier, younger pictures of him there was really a lot of leg movement in his swing. As he got older and overweight, there was less. And, he was still a phenomenal ball striker. And I'm very fortunate to have gotten to know him and watch him and learn from him. So I learned a lot, but that's part that I've found is hurtful and harmful to golfers who are trying to improve with a single plane golf swing. So my advice would be, don't do it. Hey, Kunzai, being confused, what happens right after impact? So what happens right after impact? Hopefully your ball is flying to the target. So I know you're released. So what I'll do is I'm trying to get the club to impact with the grip leading. And what happens is it's going to go through like this as it comes in. So if you extend the club here, it should still be to your side of your body like this. And then it goes here and then through. I simulate the entire swing in 6 drills that take you through 3 drills for the backswing, 3 drills for the through swing. So you learn without having to think about exactly what's happening. You learn how to move properly. If you deliver the club, though, like this, as I'm teaching, and it's how the pros do it as well, that it's going through to there, first with short swings, and then with longer swings, then you don't really have to worry about what happens after. And if your body's leading properly and getting turned, and you're releasing at the right time, you're going to be up here in your finish before you know it. Hey, Steve. Avoid an open club face in the downswing. Well, yeah, open face in the downswing, stronger grip, closed club face. All of those are going to close the club face, but I would question why is the club face open. And most likely it's open probably because you're cupping the lead wrist. If your grip is neutral, and it could be you're asking the question because you played a strong grip in the past and now you're going neutral, and then as you come down, the face is open. So in that case, if you're struggling with an open face, for me, I would have you use a stronger grip. And so what I would have you do, though, as a test, I would say just put the hands on comfortably, get your single plane setup or impact setup, and then as I have you make a couple swings and don't look at the club face and come into impact and then look at the club face. If it's open, then just adjust it a little bit in your lead hand. You could also check the position of the trailing arm and make sure if it's too much on top, that would also be a reason that it's going to come in open. So I don't like to mess with where the wrists are here at the top, except in extreme cases. If it's way off, then sure. I've had people that close the club face at setup, and that helps. They kind of came up with that on their own. So if they're doing that, that's not the first thing I'm going to fix. I would fix the swing until the ball's going left and then have them aim the club face square. Stephen Foster, during the backswing, is it recommended to keep the upper right arm closer to the body to help rotation? And what's the role of the right elbow in the downswing? Well, the right elbow, the trailing elbow, for me, is really in the backswing. Let me go here. We'll go this way. I'm really at setup. I have the trailing arm bent here, and I can feel the elbow just touching the front of my body, my stomach here above my right hip. And so as I go back, the arm starts to fold out of the way right away. And so it's kind of staying in position, and then it's in here. And then as I come down through my body rotation here, you can see it's moving this whole, let me see the best angle for this. So it's moving this whole unit. If you see both my elbows, my arms, they're going to stay the same on the way down. They're in the same positioning and orientation to each other. The right elbow is not doing anything. I'm not trying to keep it in. I'm not trying to keep it in position. It just folds out of the way. So it goes like this. It's folded out of the way, and it comes back. You could do this if you're going to go swing, cock the wrist, look at my elbow. Watch what my right elbow does. It folds out of the way. Here, it stays folded. You can do this. See how it stays in position, release, and it extends through and past impact. So folds out of the way, my body turns, so my body's transporting that. It comes back to the front of my hip or above my hip there, and then I release. But I'm not thinking about I may use it as a checkpoint when I'm working without golf balls, but otherwise I'm not going to think about it. Golf Pirate, so 120 mile an hour driver, that's great. This makes me overswing. What's your best advice to keep the power? I lose a bit of power and have trouble to keep it on the same plane with a long backswing. Well, I would work more on the transition. So if a long swing is usually the case that you're turning so far back and you don't start the hips and the legs and hips to turn in the other direction. So if I start turning as I'm getting into this area here, it's going to shift and it's going to stop the club from going back too far. Usually the guys that take it back really far, they have trouble, getting the right timing, and so it can get a little bit wild. I don't want to restrict the swing. I would look to see if you're keeping your leading arm straight. So if the arm's bending, if that's a reason that it's going back too far, then I would work on keeping the leading arm straighter. I would also try to see that your trailing leg stays in position. So I would really work towards keeping that knee from feeling. A little bit of movement's okay, but really keeping the weight on the inside of the trailing foot. And in your case, I would make sure that the trailing foot is straight so that it's going to, again, we're going to keep the bent trailing leg, we're going to keep the knee in and the weight on the inside of the foot, left arm straight, and that should limit the amount that you can take it back. So work on that, and I think you won't lose any speed with that. What you'll gain is accuracy. Hey, Michael, good to see you. Hope you guys are doing well over there. I noticed that I close my club face, especially with the driver. So if you close the club face with your driver, most likely it's a grip issue. I assume that you're seeing that at impact or the ball's hooking. So the main thing to do would be to check the grip, as you see in the videos, that I wanted to make sure that the back of the hand matches the club face. So review the grip video, make sure that that's the case, and then try to get here the club and make sure that you're not releasing early. So that another way the club would be closed would be this. And again, what I said in Steve's question earlier is make some swings with the driver back and then get to impact and check the club face. And if you have to adjust the grip there, if you see that everything's in alignment here, but the club face is closed, then adjust inside the left hand the grip a little bit, and then do it again. And make some swings like that, trying to see if it's square. So that's square, square, and then go through. So do the drills 1 through 6 with the driver and check on that. Great to see you on here. It's getting late over there. Hope you guys are doing well. The driver's setup, is the club head even with the sternum in the setup? And how does that affect shoulder tilt? So yeah, in the driver's setup, see if I have room for a driver. I can't make a swing here. But in the driver's setup, so let me just see where my camera is there. So the driver's setup is across from the lead foot. It's up on a tee, of course. But I will set up, so I'll set up here, and I have the club. I'll start with the club head somewhere in here. So yeah, it's about off the middle. It's similar to what Moe did. Moe had the club back even farther, I think. I'm somewhere in here. And I found that the setup, it's not as important in that regard, whether if I set up here or back here, but what it does is it makes sure that I keep the trailing shoulder back. So if I'm set up here and I have the club head to the left, it tends to get this shoulder out, and we want to get the shoulder back a little bit out of the way to enable us to take the club back on our single plane. So still having it in alignment here with the leading arm. So I'll set up here. And this is, with the irons, I don't really have people do that. And I recommend they give it a try because it's only a little bit. But with the driver, I see the biggest help is instead of setting up there, is to go slightly back. And so there is, maybe the feeling is there's going to be more tilt because we're a little bit turned. So you see how I move back a little bit. Again, we want the head over the space, so my chin would be over the space here. My right ear just inside the inside of the right of my right foot. The left ear about the center of the stance, and that's where we would be at impact as well. Hey Wayne, question would be, how to hit the ball higher with my irons? Yeah, hey, Jonathan, yeah. 17 inches, yeah, I'm not sure what he said about that, but he had a lot. He had it way back there. And again, with all things, you can try that. So Wayne, how to hit the ball higher with the irons? Again, we had a question earlier on that same idea or topic, and ball position is one way. So if you want to hit it higher, move the ball a little bit forward, and that's assuming that you're releasing it at the right time. If you're hitting the ball thin or low on the face, some people don't realize that. So make sure you're making contact with the ground and the ball at the same time, and then evaluate how high the ball is going. And the other thing that I said was the club face. If the club face is closed, if your ball's hooking, which for a right-hand golfer curving to the left, then the club face is also de-lofted. Once in a while, I'll also see somebody with the hands too far ahead at impact, but that's really 1 in 100, maybe less than that, 1 in 200, where it's too far ahead. It's always a very strong grip position, something like that. In that case, you'd have to neutralize the grip and maybe move the ball a little bit forward. That's probably not the case, though. So work on making some swings, making sure that you can make contact with the ground just past the ball, and make sure you're hitting it in the middle of the face. It can also be the shaft, as I mentioned earlier. If the shaft is too stiff, it's hard to get the ball up in the air. And you guys can see all of this on replay, so it's going to be available under the live videos. They're not live anymore then, but you can look back at all of these too, and you'll see the chat as it happens, so you can kind of figure out where the questions happened and were answered. Hey, Joy, Piping, good to see you again. The Mickelson, here's the wedge. This is a 64-degree Phil Mickelson wedge. See if that's, get this on. I can't really, I could probably get in trouble. The wife is downstairs. So what I would do to hit that shot, one of my favorite golf shots, is simply opening up the face, laying it flat on the ground. And let me see that you can see this here. Opening up the face, I'll have the ball still in the middle. I get a little bit wider on this shot, and then I'm trying to swing. Let me turn this way. And then I'm just trying to see that I swing under it like that, full swing. And you have to make sure that you have a good enough lie that the leading edge gets under the ball. I'm sure on my YouTube channel, if you search lob shot or something, you can see where I did that. I filmed a lot of those similar videos last summer. So it'd be in, I think, July last year. I had a lot of videos, especially some short game videos where I was hitting some high lob shots. But you can see it's something like that. Obviously, we stand a little bit open, but I still would have the ball pretty much in the middle of my stance to do that. But again, and it should feel like a normal swing. Hey guys, so I'll take one more question after Jonathan's last question, and then we're going to talk about the next thing and how you can sign up to get the lifetime membership. Steven, it seems a single plane swing with the higher hands would be an advantage hitting out of rough due to less contact with the grass compared to low hands. Well, yeah, I would think that it's an advantage because we don't have to compensate like we do in a conventional swing. The conventional setup with the hands low, yeah, the club could catch more grass, but in the end, we're coming in, the same impact. The desired impact is the same, that it's coming in like this. It's shallow through impact. If you're hitting out of rough, again, I've set up for impact. That's why we call it that. So I put it back in the stance, and then it's going to come in steeper. So it is easier if you can set up for it, take more loft, set up for it with it back in the stance. So guys, the last question is going to be MH today. Jonathan, the tilt is pretty good, 25 degrees of dress, and that is where the old pros ended up. I'd imagine it forced him to keep the club square further forward after impact. Yeah, Jonathan, yeah, I would be trying to use the concept to perfect your impact. So a lot of people focus on trying to exactly match certain positions. You have to understand in a reverse engineered swing, looking at impact, in Moe's case, you can see he's set up very wide and very far from the ball. And so he's very far from the ball. If you see, we want to come in with the grip leading a bit more and turning. You'd see the club head would be above the ball. And so the way that he hit it is that he had to drop down to make impact. So if you want to simplify things and fit it to your own needs to make it easier, find a position where you can stay level and make that swing. And I wouldn't be restricting motion. I just find that that's the hardest move, and that's the move with keeping the foot flat and trying to do that. I just don't think people can swing like another person. I've never seen anybody replicate Trevino's swing, Moe's swing, Ben Hogan's swing. It's just, I think you need to take what they do. You need to perfect impact, and you need to figure out, which I teach in my system, that, hey, at impact, I can get turned to here. And so I'm going to set up. That's how I'm going to set up. I'm trying to set up on the same at impact. I'm going to be at this height. And so I'm going to set up. That's how I'm going to set up. I'm setting up there. And then I don't have to raise up or move down. I can use the legs for power and turn. And it's going to be easier. So that's just my opinion. But it's based on all my years of working on this. So and with tilt, I'm just trying to match tilt, setup, and impact. Why wouldn't it be about the same? So I try to get set up here. So I'm set up here, and an impact. Because of the turn, it may look a little bit more, but I'm trying to keep everything. So because of the setup, it should be pretty close to the same position. Because the upper torso is going to be a little bit more turned towards the target, it will look possibly like more tilted impact than it really is. It's all depends on how you look at things. But again, I'm looking at keeping the spine more in position. So I want to see the head staying level, the hips staying level. And of course, an inch or two isn't going to matter a lot in the end. It's about learning to find the distance from the ball so that we can make a great impact. AMH Jumbo Max Ultra Wide is what I use. What type of grip do you put on your putter? How fat is too fat? Well, when the grips get too fat, I had a hard time holding on to them. So I ended up, I can use either the small or the medium on the Jumbo Max Ultra Lights. And my hand measures 8 inches from wrist crease to longest finger. The XL grip, to me, after I hit a lot of shots, it starts to slip. So it was a little bit too thick for me. I love the feel, and I hit it good with all of them. So I went a little bit smaller in that regard. The putter, I have the thick belly putter here. And so this is a thick grip from Super Stroke. Normally it's supposed to come with the Jumbo Max putter grip, which is pretty thick. But what I do, I recommend that you practice and try to get the feel for it. So, you know, that's the way I feel about it. For you guys that want the chance to win the lifetime membership today, just put contest in the comments here. Now just say contest and I'll put you in the contest. There's going to be a drawing on April 3rd for a lifetime membership. And I hope you guys will take advantage of my membership program. It enables you to send in videos for my review. And please also, if you haven't already, click like on this video below. That helps my ratings here, as well as subscribe, please, here to my channel, and you get notified as the next videos come out. I'm planning on the next one Thursday, so in 2 days at 5 o'clock again. So that can change though, so check my channel. I'll try and put it in. It could, in some cases, get bumped back to 6, but I think Thursday should be good at 5, so the same time. Love getting questions from you guys, and again, if you want to enter the contest, put contest in the thing before. I need to see contest in there, and then you'll be entered to win. So thank you very much. I hope you guys have a great day.